Question 1. Scenario-based question. Mr. Martinez is purchasing a property in New Hampshire and has been informed by the title agent that there is an easement on the property in favor of the neighboring landowner, allowing them access to shared driveway. Mr. Martinez is concerned about how this easement might affect his ownership rights. What should Mr. Martinez do in this situation to best protect his interests? A. Negotiate with the neighboring landowner to remove the easement from the title. B. Ensure that the title insurance policy includes coverage for easements and accept the existing easement. C. Demand that the seller clear the easement from the title before closing the deal. D. Refuse to purchase the property if any easement is present, regardless of its impact. Answer. B. Ensure that the title insurance policy includes coverage for easements and accept the existing easement. Explanation. Easements are common property rights that allow third parties certain usage of a property, such as for access or utilities. Mr. Martinez cannot simply remove the easement as it is a legal right tied to the property. However, a comprehensive title insurance policy typically covers easements, protecting the owner from future disputes or claims related to them. New Hampshire title insurance policies usually include endorsements that cover easements. Negotiating or demanding the removal of a valid easement is not practical and likely not possible, as the easement rights belong to the neighboring landowner and are recorded with the property. Refusing to buy the property could be excessive, especially if the easement does not significantly affect Mr. Martinez's intended use of the property. Question 2. What is the primary difference between an owner's policy and a lender's policy in title insurance? A. An owner's policy protects the property owner's interest, while a lender's policy protects the lender's interest in the property. B. An owner's policy is mandatory for all property transactions, while a lender's policy is optional. C. An owner's policy only covers title defects that occur after the purchase, while a lender's policy covers defects before and after the purchase. D. An owner's policy covers physical damage to the property, while a lender's policy covers financial losses related to title defects. Answer. A. An owner's policy protects the property owner's interest, while a lender's policy protects the lender's interest in the property. Explanation. The primary distinction between the two types of title insurance policies is their purpose and who they protect. An owner's policy provides protection to the property owner for issues related to title defects, such as undisclosed liens, claims by heirs, or boundary disputes. It ensures that the owner's interest in the property is defended against covered risks. On the other hand, a lender's policy is issued to protect the mortgage lender's financial interest in the property, typically covering the loan amount. It ensures that the lender is repaid if any title defects affect the value of the property or the lender's ability to enforce the loan. Both types of policies are commonly used in real estate transactions, with the owner's policy being optional but recommended and the lender's policy often being required by mortgage lenders. Question 3. Which of the following scenarios is considered a cloud on title that may prevent a clear transfer of ownership in New Hampshire real estate transactions? A. A properly recorded mortgage that is fully paid off but not released. B. A minor zoning violation that does not affect title ownership. C. A claim of adverse possession from a neighboring property owner who used part of the property for 5 years. D. A property with an easement for utility access that is documented in the title search. Answer. A. A properly recorded mortgage that is fully paid off but not released. Explanation. A cloud on title refers to any issue, claim, or dispute that might interfere with a clear and unencumbered transfer of ownership. In this case, a mortgage that has been fully paid but not officially released creates a potential legal issue because it remains on the record as a lien against the property even though the debt is satisfied. This must be cleared to ensure a clean transfer of title. A zoning violation does not directly affect title ownership, and a documented easement is a known condition that would not cloud the title. A claim of adverse possession typically requires a statutory period of continuous use, usually more than 5 years in New Hampshire, so a 5-year period is insufficient to claim adverse possession. Question 4. Which of the following is true about metes and bounds legal descriptions used in New Hampshire? A. Metes and bounds descriptions rely on fixed distances and bearings between physical landmarks to describe property boundaries. B. Metes and bounds descriptions are based on a rectangular grid system and use townships and ranges to define property lines. C. Metes and bounds descriptions are primarily used in urban areas where property lines are uniformly divided into lots. D. Metes and bounds descriptions are primarily for condominiums and planned unit developments. Answer. A. Metes and bounds descriptions rely on fixed distances and bearings between physical landmarks to describe property boundaries. Explanation. The metes and bounds system describes property boundaries using physical landmarks, distances, and angles. This method is often used in New Hampshire, particularly in rural areas where land is not uniformly divided. It begins at a known point of reference and traces the property's perimeter by specifying the distance, metes, and direction bounds of each boundary segment. The other options describe different methods of legal descriptions, such as the rectangular survey system or lot and block systems, which are typically used in urban or subdivided areas. Question 5. Which of the following is an example of an encumbrance that could negatively affect a property owner's title in New Hampshire? A. A joint tenancy ownership agreement between two co-owners. B. A recorded mechanics lien against the property for unpaid construction work. C. A special warranty deed provided by the seller at closing. D. A properly recorded subdivision plan with legal descriptions for each lot. Answer. B. A recorded mechanics lien against the property for unpaid construction work. Explanation. An encumbrance is any claim, lien, or burden on the title that could affect ownership or transferability of the property. A mechanics lien is an encumbrance because it is a claim made by a contractor or builder for unpaid labor or materials, which attaches to the property until resolved. Joint tenancy and subdivision plans are forms of ownership or legal organization of land, but are not considered encumbrances. A special warranty deed offers limited protection to the buyer, but it is not an encumbrance. The existence of a mechanics lien could prevent clear title transfer unless it is addressed. Question 6. Scenario-based question. Ms. Patel is purchasing a property in New Hampshire and discovers during the title search that there is a pending lawsuit involving an undisclosed heir claiming rights to the property. What is the best course of action for Ms. Patel? A. Proceed with the purchase and rely on the seller's special warranty deed for protection. B. Delay the closing until the lawsuit is resolved and the title is clear. C. Purchase an enhanced title insurance policy that includes coverage for unknown heirs. D. Proceed with the purchase but require the seller to indemnify her for any future claims. Answer. B. Delay the closing until the lawsuit is resolved and the title is clear. Explanation. A pending lawsuit involving an undisclosed heir poses a significant risk to Ms. Patel's ability to secure clear title to the property. While title insurance can provide protection in certain cases, it is always advisable to delay the closing until the title is free of potential disputes. Enhanced title insurance might cover unknown heirs, but it is risky to proceed with an active legal claim that could result in a loss of ownership rights. The seller's indemnification may not be sufficient protection, especially in complex legal disputes. Therefore, the best action is to wait until the lawsuit is resolved. Question 7. Which of the following is a key responsibility of title insurance agents under New Hampshire law? A. Acting as both the title insurer and the closing agent in all real estate transactions. B. Conducting title searches to verify that the seller has clear title before issuing a policy. C. Preparing all legal documents for the transaction, including the property deed. D. Personally guaranteeing the accuracy of the legal description on the title insurance policy. Answer. B. Conducting title searches to verify that the seller has clear title before issuing a policy. Explanation. Title insurance agents in New Hampshire are responsible for conducting thorough title searches to ensure that the property has a clear title before issuing a title insurance policy. This involves reviewing public records, deeds, liens, and other legal documents to identify any defects or encumbrances on the title. While agents may also facilitate parts of the closing process, they do not act as legal advisors or guarantee legal document accuracy. Acting as both the insurer and closing agent is not a legal requirement, and title agents do not prepare legal documents such as deeds. This is typically done by attorneys. Question 8. Which of the following is a prohibited practice for title insurance agents in New Hampshire under RSA Chapter 416A, offering discounts on title insurance premiums for repeat customers? B. Refusing to issue a title insurance policy based on the property's location. C. Giving financial incentives or kickbacks to real estate agents for referrals. D. Charging different rates for standard and enhanced title insurance coverage. Answer. C. Giving financial incentives or kickbacks to real estate agents for referrals. Explanation. New Hampshire law under RSA Chapter 416 prohibits title insurance agents from offering kickbacks or financial incentives to real estate agents or brokers for referrals. This practice is considered a violation of consumer protection regulations and is deemed unfair or deceptive. Agents must maintain ethical standards and avoid conflicts of interest. Discounts and rate variations based on the type of coverage, standard versus Enhanced are permitted as long as they are filed and approved by the New Hampshire Insurance Department. Refusal to issue policies based on location would also violate fair housing and anti-discrimination laws. Question 9. In New Hampshire, which of the following would typically not be covered under a standard owner's title insurance policy? A. A previously undisclosed easement running across the property. B. A tax lien recorded after the policy was issued. C. A forgery in the property's deed discovered after closing. D. A neighbor's encroachment on the property that was not noted in the survey. Answer: B. A tax lien recorded after the policy was issued. Explanation: a standard owner's title insurance policy generally protects the property owner from defects that exist prior to the issuance of the policy, such as undisclosed easements, forged documents, or boundary encroachments. However, it does not cover events that occur after the policy is issued, such as tax liens or other debts incurred by the property owner. For post-policy issues, a more comprehensive policy or separate insurance coverage might be necessary. The owner is responsible for handling any tax liens that arise after the issuance of the title insurance policy. Question 10. Which of the following situations would likely require quiet title action in New Hampshire? A. The buyer discovers an unrecorded mechanics lien that was placed on the property 2 years ago. B. There is a boundary dispute between the property owner and a neighboring landowner. C. The seller failed to disclose the presence of an easement on the property for a utility company. D. The property has an adverse possession claim from a previous owner's heir. Answer: D. The property has an adverse possession claim from a previous owner's heir. Explanation: a quiet title action is a legal proceeding used to resolve disputes over property ownership or claims that cloud the title. An adverse possession claim by a previous owner's heir could result in a legal dispute over the rightful ownership of the property, making a quiet title action necessary to clear the title and affirm the current owner's rights. A mechanics lien, boundary dispute, or easement issue may not require quiet title action, though they may involve legal remedies. Adverse possession is one of the clearest cases where a quiet title action is appropriate to resolve ownership rights. Question 11. Under New Hampshire law, which of the following statements is true regarding adverse possession? A. The claimant must possess the property for at least 10 years without the owner's permission. B. The claimant must possess the property for at least 20 years and must have the owner's explicit permission. C. The claimant must openly and notoriously occupy the property for at least 20 years without the owner's permission. D. The claimant must occupy the property for at least 30 years with continuous written notices to the owner. Answer: C. The claimant must openly and notoriously occupy the property for at least 20 years without the owner's permission. Explanation: in New Hampshire, for an adverse possession claim to be valid, the claimant must openly, continuously, and notoriously occupy the property for at least 20 years without the permission of the rightful owner. The occupation must be obvious enough that the owner could have known about it and taken action. It does not require the owner's explicit permission, as adverse possession involves occupying the property without consent. Question 12. What is the minimum duration required to establish a prescriptive easement in New Hampshire? A. 5 years of continuous and uninterrupted use. B. 10 years of use, provided the property owner is aware of it. C. 20 years of open, continuous, and adverse use. D. 30 years of use, with explicit permission from the property owner. Answer: C. 20 years of open, continuous, and adverse use. Explanation: in New Hampshire, a prescriptive easement, which allows a person to gain the right to use someone else's property, requires at least 20 years of open, continuous, and adverse use. This means the use must occur without the owner's permission, be visible, and be uninterrupted during this period. It is similar to adverse possession, but it applies to the right to use the property rather than ownership of the land itself. Question 13, scenario-based question. Mr. Gordon owns a parcel of land in New Hampshire with a boundary along a river. Over the years, the river's course naturally shifted, changing the land's boundary. Which of the following terms best describes this process? A. Avulsion. B. Accretion. C. Reliction. D. Alluvion. Answer: B. Accretion. Explanation: accretion refers to the gradual buildup of land caused by natural forces, such as the slow deposition of sediment along a riverbank. In this case, the river's shifting course led to the addition of land to Mr. Gordon's property, a classic example of accretion. Avulsion is a more sudden change in land, such as by a flood, while reliction refers to land exposure due to receding water, and alluvion is the actual material deposited during accretion. Question 14. which of the following statements is correct regarding the New Hampshire homestead exemption? A. It protects up to $10,000 of the equity in a primary residence from creditors. B. It protects up to $120,000 of equity for individuals and $240,000 for married couples in a primary residence. C. It only applies to properties owned jointly by spouses. D. It provides an unlimited amount of protection for the equity in a property. Answer: B. It protects up to $120,000 of equity for individuals and $240,000 for married couples in a primary residence. Explanation: the New Hampshire homestead exemption protects up to $120,000 of equity in a primary residence for an individual and up to $240,000 for married couples. This exemption provides protection against creditors attempting to collect on most debts, though there are some exceptions such as for tax liens and mortgages. It does not offer unlimited protection, but it can help homeowners retain some equity in their homes in the event of financial difficulty. Question 15. Which of the following is an example of a riparian right in New Hampshire? A. The right of a property owner to extract minerals from beneath the land. B. The right of a property owner to construct a fence around their property. C. The right of a property owner to access and use water from a river that runs along their property. D. The right of a property owner to develop a commercial business on their land. Answer: C. The right of a property owner to access and use water from a river that runs along their property. Explanation: riparian rights in New Hampshire refer to the rights of landowners whose property is adjacent to a body of water, such as a river, stream, or lake. These rights allow the property owner to access, use, and enjoy the water as long as their use does not harm the rights of others. This can include water for domestic purposes, irrigation, or even recreational use depending on the circumstances. It does not apply to rights related to minerals, fencing, or land development. Question 16. In New Hampshire, which of the following conditions must be met for a valid enforceable real estate contract to exist? A. The contract must be written, include an offer and acceptance, and be supported by consideration. B. The contract must be notarized, witnessed by two individuals, and signed by a judge. C. The contract must include a non-refundable deposit to secure the buyer's intent to purchase. D. The contract must be written and contain a time is of the essence clause to be enforceable. Answer A. The contract must be written, include an offer and acceptance, and be supported by consideration. Explanation: for a real estate contract to be enforceable in New Hampshire, it must meet several essential legal requirements. It must be in writing, per the statute of frauds, contain an offer and acceptance, and be supported by consideration, something of value, typically money, notarization, witness signatures, and specific clauses like time is of the essence are not mandatory for basic contract enforceability, though they may be used in certain contracts. Question 17. Which of the following types of deeds is most commonly used in New Hampshire for transferring property between family members or for estate planning purposes? A. General warranty deed. B. Quitclaim deed. C. Special warranty deed. D. Bargain and sale deed. Answer: B. Quitclaim deed. Explanation: quitclaim deeds are commonly used in New Hampshire for transferring property between family members or as part of estate planning. This type of deed transfers whatever interest the grantor has in the property without any warranties or guarantees about the quality of the title. It's often used when the parties know each other well, such as within a family, and trust that the title is clear. Question 18. Which of the following is NOT typically included in a standard owner's title insurance policy in New Hampshire? A. Protection against title defects caused by forged documents. B. Protection against claims arising from undisclosed heirs. C. Coverage for issues related to zoning laws. D. Coverage for easements that are not recorded in public records. Answer: C. Coverage for issues related to zoning laws. Explanation: standard owner's title insurance policies typically cover issues related to the ownership of the property, such as forged documents, undisclosed heirs, or unrecorded easements. However, zoning laws and land use regulations are not usually covered by title insurance policies. These are considered governmental regulations that the property owner must comply with and are not defects in the title itself. Question 19. In New Hampshire, a condominium association is required to do which of the following? A. Maintain a reserve fund for capital improvements. B. Provide each unit owner with free maintenance services. C. Purchase individual insurance policies for each unit. D. Allow unit owners to opt out of association fees. Answer: A. Maintain a reserve fund for capital improvements. Explanation: New Hampshire condominium associations are required to maintain a reserve fund to cover major capital improvements, such as roof replacements or significant repairs to common areas. This helps ensure that the condominium complex remains in good condition over time and that there are funds available for necessary repairs. Associations do not typically provide free services, individual insurance for units, or allow unit owners to opt out of fees. Question 20. Which of the following forms of co-ownership is NOT recognized in New Hampshire? A. Tenancy in common. B. Joint tenancy with right of survivorship. C. Tenancy by the entirety. D. Life estate tenancy. Answer: C. Tenancy by the entirety. Explanation: New Hampshire does not recognize tenancy by the entirety, a form of co-ownership that is available in some states exclusively for married couples. In New Hampshire, joint tenancy with right of survivorship and tenancy in common are the most common forms of co-ownership. Life estates are also recognized, but are not a form of co-ownership. Tenancy by the entirety offers additional protections for married couples, but it is not available in this state. Question 21. In New Hampshire, which of the following real estate professionals is responsible for providing the agency disclosure to prospective buyers or sellers? A. The buyer's agent only. B. The listing agent only. C. Both the buyer's agent and the listing agent. D. The seller's attorney. Answer: C. Both the buyer's agent and the listing agent. Explanation: In New Hampshire, both the buyer's agent and the listing agent must provide an agency disclosure to prospective buyers and sellers. This document explains the agent's role in the transaction and whether they are representing the buyer, seller, or acting as a dual agent for both parties. It ensures transparency about the agent's duties and loyalties. Question 22. What is the primary purpose of a property tax abatement in New Hampshire? A. To provide a permanent reduction in property taxes for senior citizens. B. To grant temporary relief to property owners who have experienced a decrease in property value. C. To exempt property owners from paying property taxes for a set number of years. D. To ensure property taxes are adjusted automatically based on inflation. Answer: B. To grant temporary relief to property owners who have experienced a decrease in property value. Explanation: A property tax abatement in New Hampshire is designed to provide temporary relief to property owners who believe their property has been overassessed or has experienced a decrease in value. Property owners can apply for an abatement to reduce their property tax liability. It is not a permanent reduction and does not automatically adjust based on inflation. Question 23. In New Hampshire, which of the following parties is typically responsible for paying the transfer tax when a property is sold? A. The buyer only. B. The seller only. C. The buyer and seller equally. D. The lender financing the transaction. Answer: C. The buyer and seller equally. Explanation: In New Hampshire, the real estate transfer tax is typically split equally between the buyer and the seller. This tax is imposed on the sale, grant, or transfer of real property and is calculated based on the sale price or the fair market value of the property. Question 24. Which of the following is true regarding landlord-tenant law in New Hampshire? A. Landlords must return the security deposit within 10 days of the tenant vacating the property. B. Landlords are allowed to evict tenants without cause as long as they provide 30 days notice. C. Tenants must provide at least 60 days notice to terminate a month-to-month rental agreement. D. Landlords must provide tenants with a written itemized list of damages when withholding any part of the security deposit. Answer: D. Landlords must provide tenants with a written itemized list of damages when withholding any part of the security deposit. Explanation: In New Hampshire, if a landlord withholds any part of a tenant's security deposit, they are required to provide a written itemized list of damages and the associated costs to the tenant. The list must be sent within 30 days of the tenant vacating the property. Failure to do so may result in the landlord losing the right to withhold the deposit. Question 25. Which of the following accurately describes New Hampshire's requirements for disclosure of lead-based paint hazards in residential properties? A. Only properties built after 1980 require disclosure of lead-based paint hazards. B. The seller must disclose lead-based paint hazards in all properties, regardless of the construction year. C. Properties built before 1978 require disclosure of lead-based paint hazards. D. There is no legal requirement to disclose lead-based paint hazards in New Hampshire. Answer: C. Properties built before 1978 require disclosure of lead-based paint hazards. Explanation: In New Hampshire, as per federal law, properties built before 1978 require disclosure of any known lead-based paint hazards. This regulation is in place because lead-based paint was commonly used in homes before it was banned in 1978, and it poses significant health risks, particularly to children. Question 26. Which of the following is true regarding zoning variances in New Hampshire? A. Variances are automatically granted if no opposition is raised at the zoning hearing. B. Variances allow property owners to use their property in a way that is otherwise prohibited by zoning laws. C. Variances are granted only if the proposed use strictly conforms to the zoning code. D. Variances can only be applied for after construction is complete. Answer. B. Variances allow property owners to use their property in a way that is otherwise prohibited by zoning laws. Explanation. Zoning variance in New Hampshire is a form of relief that allows a property owner to use their property in a manner that deviates from the current zoning regulations. Variances are granted by local zoning boards if the owner can demonstrate that the strict application of the zoning law would cause undue hardship, but they are not automatically granted, and the property owner must apply before construction or modification occurs. Question 27. In New Hampshire, a condominium's master deed must include which of the following? A. The bylaws governing the condominium association. B. A detailed budget for future assessments. C. The name and address of each unit owner. D. The rules for renting individual units to tenants. Answer A. The bylaws governing the condominium association. Explanation. The master deed of a condominium in New Hampshire must include the bylaws of the condominium association, which outline the rules, regulations, and responsibilities of the unit owners. These bylaws address matters such as maintenance, common areas, and financial responsibilities of the unit owners. The other items, such as budgets and unit owner names, are typically handled separately. Question 20. What is the statutory period for bringing a legal action based on a breach of a written real estate contract in New Hampshire? A. 3 years. B. 5 years. C. 6 years. D. 10 years. Answer. C. 6 years. Explanation. The statute of limitations for bringing a legal action based on a breach of a written contract in New Hampshire is 6 years. This means that a party has up to 6 years from the date of the breach to file a lawsuit seeking remedies. This time limit encourages timely resolution of contract disputes. Question 29. Which of the following is a true statement about mechanics liens in New Hampshire? A. A mechanics lien can be filed by any contractor regardless of whether they were paid in full. B. A mechanics lien provides security for contractors and suppliers who have not been paid for work performed on real property. C. Mechanics liens are automatically created when work begins on a property. D. A mechanics lien must be filed within 12 months of the completion of the work. Answer. B. A mechanics lien provides security for contractors and suppliers who have not been paid for work performed on real property. Explanation. In New Hampshire, a mechanics lien provides security for contractors, subcontractors, and suppliers who have not been paid for work or materials provided to improve real property. It ensures they have a legal claim against the property until they are paid. The lien must be filed within a specific time frame, typically 120 days after the completion of the work. Question 30. Which of the following describes a characteristic of a life estate in New Hampshire? A. It can be passed on to the life tenant's heirs upon their death. B. The life tenant has the right to sell or mortgage the property, but the interest ends upon their death. C. A life estate automatically converts into fee simple ownership upon the life tenant's death. D. It gives the life tenant full ownership of the property, including the right to devise it in a will. Answer. B. The life tenant has the right to sell or mortgage the property, but the interest ends upon their death. Explanation. In New Hampshire, a life estate grants the life tenant the right to use, sell, or mortgage the property during their lifetime. However, their interest in the property terminates upon their death, and the property reverts to the remainderman or the person who holds the remainder interest. The life tenant cannot pass the property on to their heirs, and the life estate does not convert into fee simple ownership.